sure is working. Let's see. Oh, I guess I should open that window. We can do that. Creator dashboard. Live! It's working! I love it when it works. I love it when a plan comes together. That's what I love. Good morning. Here we go. A little new message for Kick. Getting used to the whole Kick business. I like it. I like it a lot. Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Hope you're doing well. It is the 6th of June, 2023. And this is Ask a Traffic Cop, where this guy on the screen, Sean Shapiro, police officer from Toronto Police Traffic Services, answers your traffic and police questions for an hour or an hour and a bit, depending on how it goes. Sometimes we're on for longer. Very rarely are we on for less, and we are always having fun. So let me explain how this goes, and I don't want to knock my water over when I do it. You ask questions, I give answers. I'm a traffic cop. I give traffic cop answers. We talk about other things too. I've been asked about donuts. I've been asked about employment. I've been asked about all sorts of things. And if I can answer you, I will. If I can't, well, I won't, because I try to swim in my lane. And if we get questions about politics, we don't talk about politics because it's just not my game. But I do appreciate the conversation. I recently got back. In fact, this is our second show since the middle of May because I went away on vacation. I went on a cruise. I went to the UK. I flew to London, toured around London for a couple of days, and then took off on a cruise, got onto a ship. And I got the opportunity to go to a number of ports in Ireland, Scotland. I went to France. I took a train into Paris. I was all over the place. And I found it really interesting as to how they do things and how they drive. And I mean, it's a very, very wide angle, observations of me getting around as a pedestrian, as someone who was riding on buses and trains and so on. But I was really impressed. Even the simplest thing of how their signals work at intersections for crosswalks. I thought it was really cool. You hit a button and it says wait, and then it lets you know. And it even it's so well timed. They had signals for cyclists in addition to pedestrians. Even France, going around Paris, there were separate crosswalks for pedestrians and cyclists, which again was cool. Obviously, it means that there are areas where cyclists and in crosswalk go into areas that are similar or close by to crosswalks. But anyway, very interesting. Let's get into some stuff. Before we get into the question and answer business, I do want to tell you where the Vision Zero enforcement team is hanging their are they hanging their hats? Maybe in their cars. But for those who don't know what the Vision Zero enforcement team are, they are a group of dedicated officers who go out and change driver behavior one ticket at a time. Yes, tickets do change behavior. It worked on me when I was a kid because I had a couple of tickets when I was a new driver. And not that I was a reckless, crazy individual who was out there trying to break speed records. I think I was doing 10 or 15 over, and I got a ticket for 10 or 15 over. I didn't get any tickets after that because I was very conscious of the speed limit after that. I also apparently ran a stop sign, and I now know the officer professionally who gave me that ticket, and whenever I see him, I remind him that he gave me a ticket, and that's our thing that he's probably really sick and tired of, but I find very humorous. I didn't even need to see the stop sign, but I'm a much more aware driver, having been doing it for over 30 years now. So let's talk about what the Vision Zero enforcement team looks for. They look for people who are choosing to engage in behaviors that we call the Big Four. That's speeding, because speeding's a problem. And we say speed kills because it does. We'll get into that later. Aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. Also, things that are all under that umbrella of Big Four that lead to serious injury and death on our roads. Now, for those who don't know what Vision Zero is, that's a whole concept. And it's multifaceted. It talks about design and engineering and infrastructure. And that's not my department. But I do believe that when we create safe spaces for cyclists and pedestrians and other vulnerable road users, we make the roads safer. When we create situations where cars must slow down, like roundabouts, for instance, we make the roads safer. But that's not my department. What is my department is enforcement and education. And I believe that those work. And I see the change that when we're out there writing tickets, behavior changes. Even if it's only when we're out there, it's still good. Some people will never learn, and we've had many cases where people get The same people get the tickets repeatedly. Just they don't care. And those people need to lose their licenses, which, ticketing and creating paper trails actually does work, because eventually you lose your license. Now, where are they today? They're in 52 and 41, and I just see that I made a typo. I didn't put a space between the in and the at sign, which means the 52 division didn't get tagged in my post. I'll have to tag them later. But 52 Division and 41 Division, those are the neighborhoods of Kensington, Chinatown, Bay Street Corridor, Dorset Park, Kennedy Park, Birchcliff, Cliffside, neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play and deserve to be safe. If it was your neighborhood, you'd want us there too, because people that you care about are hanging out there. And, it's beyond just the fact that it's people that matter to you personally, but everyone. We get. This is a Vision Zero concept, but we get that minor collisions are going to happen. It's going to happen. But the ones that lead to serious injury and death are totally preventable and unacceptable. And although that is pretty much quoting what the Vision Zero spiel is, I truly believe that. I don't care if you dent your bumper. I care if you hurt somebody. And it's just, we lose too many lives, and due to behaviors that could be avoided. Okay. I have done my part about talking about Vision Zero, but I do want to bring up the fact that we're hiring. If you have any interest in becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service, now's your opportunity, because we are hiring. We have positions, all sorts of positions, actually. We're hiring police officers, special constables. Well, actually, there's no opening, there's no active application process for special constable that I'm aware of, but there is for parking enforcement officers, as well as a whole bunch of jobs in the civilian role. In fact, I will put this on screen very quickly, because I want to show you. And thank you, Kayla, who says, greetings and salutations, by the way, but he also reminds me to talk about the Harley, which I will do momentarily. First, I want to share with you the careers page. And if we scroll down, you'll see the information pages up for all these wonderful jobs. Or police constable being the one that we're that's our primary business. We're looking for people to apply. If you are interested in becoming a police officer and serving your community, this is the best place to work. You have to be a Canadian citizen, at least 18 years old. Canadian citizen or permanent resident of Canada, 18 years old. You have to be able to do the job. You have to pass all your physical testing. And there's details here. Traffic. The website is tps.ca/careers. I'll put that on screen. And you can go and get all this information, find out about what the benefits are, what the salary is, all this stuff and more, everything you wanted to know. But you know what? That's great. But let's talk about other roles. Let's talk about civilian roles. I love pulling this up because it changes every day. 9 positions currently posted. Senior analyst, intermediate technical analyst, clerk for accounts payable, parking enforcement officer, payroll operations lead, senior analyst, senior programmer, solutions architect, and communications operator. And those are the magical folks who answer our 911 calls and tell police where to go so they can help others. Because all we are people trying to help people. And that doesn't have to be in a uniform. The people who make it possible for us to go out and do our jobs, they're magical too. So just a shout out to all those who support us so that we can go out and support the community, with help. Let's see here. We have, the Harley raffle. That is a very good thing to get out of the way too. And we are going to be answering your questions regardless of the platform, except for Twitter. If you're on Twitter, you can't ask us any questions because we can't see them even if we want to. So if you'd like to ask us a question, jump over to YouTube, jump over to my Instagram. Well, not Instagram works too. We're here. Hello, Instagram. I got a separate phone with Instagram. If you are on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, even Kick. I've got a chat going here. New platform. If you've never heard of it, check it out. It's apparently the best thing since sliced bread, but I've not had a whole lot of experience with it. I'm just learning about Kick now, but we are streaming on Kick while I learn. The raffle. Quick note about the Harley. If you're interested in doing good things as a human and supporting a group called Special Olympics. Yeah, Special Olympics Ontario is raffling off this motorcycle, $20 for a ticket, 3 for $50, 8 for $100, and you might take yourself home a very expensive, beautiful motorcycle. And you know what? If you don't want to take it home, I'm sure you could sell it pretty quick while still being a good human. All right, let's see what's happening in the chat window. We have our producers in the background who are taking the chat from TikTok and bringing it over so you can actually have your questions answered. So if you're on the main platforms, it automatically comes up on screen, and I can do magical things like, put this message up on screen. If you're on TikTok, it takes a little bit of work, and I must thank those who are helping in the background. And I can take questions like this, where Valet says, can we wrap our car with different colors? See, this is a TikTok question that we're putting up on screen, but someone had to cut and paste it. Anyway, the answer is yes, you can change the color of your vehicle. It's no different than painting it, even though it's not permanent because you can peel it off. Once you change the color of your motor vehicle, you must update the ownership document. You have to update and notify the Ministry of Transportation through Service Ontario within 6 days, or you'd be eligible for a ticket. Now, aside from the eligible for a ticket business, if I'm a police officer and I'm looking at your car and your registration, when I pull up behind you and run your license plate, says it's green, but I'm looking at a purple car with orange polka dots, it's going to look wrong. It's going to be a reason to pull you over. So if you'd like to avoid being pulled over and having your time wasted trying to explain why you didn't do it, or that it is actually the vehicle, not a stolen vehicle, because what very often happens is bad persons go and steal license plates from the same make and model car, put it onto their stolen car, and then use the toll roads and whatnot, and pretend to be a legitimate car by using your plate. So it is a reason to investigate, and you could just avoid all of that by just updating your information, which can be done. I think you can do it on can you do it online for? You may have to go in. Either way, get it done. Get her done. We have I comment everywhere who says hello. And they follow up with, they are new to the channel. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us. If you've got traffic and police questions, this is the right place. If you don't, then hang out and maybe you'll come up with one during our hour of live stream. Chase says there's lots of latency. I don't know why that would be the case, but apparently there may be some lag. And if that is the case, I apologize for the internet because it's not a me thing. It is very much a they thing. Voice is not in sync with video. I don't know. So Chase is saying that the voice is not in sync. Is it not in sync for you? Please let me know, because these are things that help me understand what's up. Not that I can fix it. Oh, so it may be a YouTube thing. Chase, if you check out any of our other platforms, let me know, because I am interested to know. Let me see if TikTok's having a problem. Stand by. I'm going to check out myself. The joy of having a personal phone is I can go back and see what we look like in the live. And it worked yesterday, so I'm assuming it's going to work again. Checking. I don't even see myself. So maybe there's some technical issues going on, but we'll see. Can you see me on TikTok? Lag on TikTok. Very strange. Don't know what's going on. But I do see lots of people chatting in there, so I thank you. Yeah, I can't even get onto, well, maybe if I turn off here, let me, one last try, and then I will stop swirling down them. No, it might be my local network that's having a problem, because, okay, it works. It is working. Okay, I may just be overloading the network. Okay. Let's get to some questions. Some more questions anyway. And hope that the other technical stuff just fixes itself. Okay. Kat Harrison on Facebook. Welcome, Facebook user. What can be done if there isn't police around and we see someone run a red light? Well, if you're in Toronto and many other jurisdictions, you can actually report that yourself. If you have their license plate information, you can make a report online saying that you witnessed them do that. Now, it may or may not result in charges being laid, but at very least, a letter can be issued to the person who violated, or the registered owner of the vehicle that violated, and we can say your vehicle was reported at this date and time at this location, having done X, Y, and Z. And it may do nothing, but at least it creates a file. Next time they get pulled over, we will have seen this history, and maybe it'll influence them to be better. However, it may do nothing. Now, but that's about the extent of what you can do. It's not a 911 call. Don't call 911 if you see someone run a red light. Okay, we have Wasabi Me. with a question. Are electric scooters powered one-wheel devices allowed on the road? Temp bylaw. So if you're in the province of Ontario, and I can't speak for other jurisdictions because I don't know what their specific rules are, but in the province of Ontario, electric scooters, if they meet the e-kick scooter requirements of being no faster and not being capable of going faster than 24 kilometers an hour, having a motor no more powerful than 500 watts maximum, and there's a couple of other things like not have a seat, not carry cargo, a whole bunch of things, then they may qualify for the e-kick scooter pilot. If you go to trafficcop.ca, you'll see the details that cover the pilot. Powered one-wheel devices are absolutely not permitted. Those are unsafe motor vehicles not covered by any pilot under the HTA, which means you would be charged or could be charged for driving a motor vehicle that is uninsured and unsafe for the roads. There's a whole bunch of things there which could be very expensive. But we've been charging those involved in collisions on those devices, which are unsafe because they have no steering, no braking. Like they have electric regenerative braking, but it doesn't stop you in a reasonable amount of time. It's one wheel. You lock up the brake, you fall over. Not a good thing. Yeah, even hoverboards aren't technically legal. So if you're talking about electric scooters by e-bikes, that's a different situation altogether. So if you've got more questions, let me know. We'll return. We'll come back. Okay. Tim Shallow says, good morning, Sean. And I say, good morning to you. But Andrew confirms that it looks like it's an old kung fu movie, and my lips are out of sync with the. That's really annoying, but I can't fix it. It's entirely network driven, and it disappoints me knowing this. But it is what it is. Maybe we'll fix it in post. Okay. You know, we're perfect most of the time, but on those days that we're not, it just balances everything. Okay. City is getting more traffic agents, special constables. Yes. Well, I think you're making a statement, and because you have an affiliation with people who know things, I understand that there's lots of those. We just had a class of them graduate. The big thing is how many of them become police officers 10 minutes after they become traffic agents. So hopefully they'll stick around for a long time and help our city out, because we need help getting traffic moving well, safely, efficiently. And it's a team effort. It's not just the traffic agents who are awesome, but the parking enforcement officers and police officers and traffic specialists and everybody. Okay. Let's move on. What is the traffic law regarding bicyclists transitioning from crosswalks to roadways and sidewalks? Well, transitioning from crosswalks, the only way that a cyclist can transition to a crosswalk is by getting off their bicycle and walking, because they can't be in a crosswalk legally and they can't be on a sidewalk legally. So the traffic law is they can be charged if they were riding in a crosswalk or sidewalk, and it's bylaw specific. I don't think this is an HTA thing. I've never laid the charge. Usually this is a conversation, not a ticket situation. Despite many people believing that we are very anti-bicycle, I don't know why. It is generally education that is transferred as opposed to paperwork. But it is not lawful to be riding a bicycle in a crosswalk, and for good reason. It's dangerous. Just like running in a crosswalk is not a good idea, because cars are expecting people to behave a certain way, and it's for their safety, so everyone can be on the same page. Stranger Dude has a question. What does Stranger Dude want to know? If everyone on highway is going 120 kilometers an hour and above, then it will be safe for me to go the same speed. Technically, you're not wrong that it's safe if everyone's going the same speed. It's unlawful, though. So I would give you a ticket, or if I could stop everyone, I would give everyone a ticket because you're doing 20 kilometers over the speed limit. That's not lawful. Is it unsafe if you're all doing the same speed? It's not unsafe, because if the speed limit was 120, it would be legal, but it's not. So you're breaking the law. So what are you looking for here? Are you looking for permission? You don't have permission to speed. Okay. Akela has a story. His buddy told a story of an agent of chaos, which is what Akela refers to as people who break the law and are generally unsafe. He was in the through lane. Car in the left lane turned right across his path, only to pull a U-turn on a crossroad to go the original, and he left it. There's no continuation. Direction. and hit a traffic controller cabinet. His dash cam satisfied the police that he wasn't charged, but the plate wasn't readable, so his insurance declined. Really? His insurance declined? Oh, I guess they had nobody to go back and, but that means he just had the plate's deductible, I'm assuming. Couldn't have cost him the entire amount. Let's see here. Declined the claim and dropped him from their company coverage. The lesson is whoever that insurance company is, don't use them. That sounds terrible in terms of customer service. If you didn't cause a collision, why would they hold you responsible? And it's not just about having a license plate being visible. It should be quite more than that. Hey, some more people have dropped into to Kick. Let me know if the streaming is working for you. Are you getting any lag? Is the whole lips moving at the same time as the audio coming through? I want to know. And as I look over here, I see that there is a party question. Party 2018 wants advice on window tint. I've been told it's up to the officer. I know HTA states about covering. However, I've been told so many things. I purchased a car with window tints, and I don't want to spend $500 to remove it. Well, it shouldn't be $500 to remove it. But let's talk about window tint for a moment, because we talk about window tint a lot. Although I must say that we're speaking about window tint far less than the first 2 years when we started, doing all this live streaming. It used to be every other question. So legally, in order to safety a vehicle and put license plates on it, legally, you can have, in Ontario, you can have no more than 30% light blockage on the windows that are left and right of the driver. That means 70% of light has to get through. Okay? Now, just because you can certify a vehicle with that does not make it legal if with atmospheric conditions, in other words, if it's dark out and I can't see you as a police officer, I can't see the driver. Well, that's a ticket. You can't obscure the interior of your motor vehicle with a color coating or a reflective tint. Cannot happen. The windshield cannot have any tint. In fact, those bars, the brows, those tint strips across the top are only legal on vehicles that are manufactured before 2017. So 2016 and earlier, you can have it up to 3 inches from the top of the window or to the PS1 line, whatever happens first, but you cannot have any on a window on a vehicle 2017 or newer. Things you never thought you'd ever know. Anyway, rear windows, back window, there's no regulation, but you must have a clear view to the rear by way of mirror if you do not have the ability to see through that rear mirror. Now, from the inside, there's other things. If you have tint that obscures or obstructs the driver's view, there's an additional charge for that. So you could have a whole bunch of problems. But the big thing to remember is if you're over 30%, that may be grounds to make your vehicle or to classify your vehicle as unsafe, to pull your license plates and force you to get a safety. Now, a mechanic has to have a tint meter to slide over that window and determine if the vehicle's tint is of a legal limit in order to safety. If they didn't do that, they could be on the hook too. If they certified a vehicle and you have illegal tint on it, they may have a difficult time keeping their license to be a mechanic. Just saying. Yes. What is an interesting question. Amandeep wants to know, why is Canadian police more worried about giving tickets? American police is better in terms. Well, no, we're all interested in making sure our streets are safe, and our streets are safe both in terms of criminal behavior. We want to stop that, and we also want to stop dangerous behavior on motor vehicles, because we lose as many people to violent crime as we do on the roads because of driver behavior and equipment failures, and the list goes on, but it's just as important. In fact, very often we hear the argument that criminals are very often involved with or losing lives within criminal elements. Less often are we finding it's random. Actually, that's not true. Now we're seeing more random crime, but and random violence. But for a long time, we would say that a lot of people involved in gangs and things like that, people would shoo and say, well, it's not regular people, it's criminals, and they would have less of an issue with it. But when it's talking about motor vehicles, when you're talking about pedestrians who are just wandering down the street or crossing the street and they're getting hit because people are breaking the law, or they can't see because of tinted windows and hit people, or they're speeding and cause collisions and families are destroyed forever, well, we're very interested in making sure that stops. So if American police are not interested in enforcing the rules, which I know they are, so it's kind of a non-starter. You may have gotten away with a lot, but American police are just as interested in saving their citizens and keeping their communities safe, if not more in some areas, than what we do. We're all pretty easygoing, We're just trying to make it safe. Okay. Moving along. How's the sink? Is it still messed up? How's the bathtub? Ba-dum-bum. Okay. Let's see here. When turning right, is it mandatory to stop? Always see people turning without stopping. Those people have no idea how to drive, or they're choosing to be stupid. Wait, did I call people stupid? I did. It's a stupid thing to do. When you make a right turn on a red light, you must. Oh, wait, did you actually turning right? Actually, okay, skip back. They may not be stupid. If you're making a right turn, you don't have to stop if it's not a red light. A red light requires you to stop prior to making a right on red. I assumed you're going there. You may have actually wanted to go there. Right turns don't require a stop unless it's a red light. But you're still responsible to make sure it's safe. What I'm seeing is people making right turns on reds without stopping, which is stupid. And I double down on that because they're just breaking the law. In fact, I did an interview, if you go back to our podcast, which I need to film a couple new episodes for. It's called TPS Traffic Jam. And we had the folks from the automated enforcement group from City of Toronto. And they were talking about the fact that one intersection had 4 tickets over a short period of time. The same person was doing laps. I guess they were waiting for somebody, and they kept running the red light by making the right turn without stopping. So not legal. Not legal. I'm typing into the other one. Okay. Can I carry the pink slip? What is this? Last question, can I carry the pink slip for insurance in phone, or do we need a hard copy? Apple user wants to know. You must carry your original pink slip, or if your service provider, your insurance provider, gives you an app that allows you to get an electronic version, which can also be sent to police, that is also legal now. But a photo doesn't work. Must be an approved app that allows, and you have to be able to provide it. So if your battery dies and you can't provide it, you get a ticket. You're best off, in my opinion, to carry the original. The app's a great backup if you lose it. My new car does not have a sticker. Do I need one? No. In Ontario, we no longer issue stickers to most vehicles under 3,000 kilos, except for snowmobiles. They specifically did that to upset Sergeant Campbell. But you don't need a sticker unless you need a sticker, and you would need to know that you would know that based on how your vehicle's registered. The big thing to do is make sure you're registered for reminders. You can do that by going to trafficcop.ca. At the bottom, I have useful links, and one of those is the Renew page, where you can also go to set up reminders for your health card, driver's license, and license plate. If you don't renew it, you will get a ticket. It's $110 for having an expired license plate, despite the fact that there's no sticker. It really messes with people. Okay. Boom, boom. What do we got here? Going for some new stuff. Is it legal to safely pass on a solid line? In Ontario, we're probably the only place that doesn't require you, or doesn't have a law specific to crossing a line. The line is not enforceable. However, if you pass on a solid line and crash, you're going to be obviously held accountable. You're the one who caused it. But just crossing the line it could be an unsafe move, could be charged for that, but the line isn't the law. Kim has a question. And I think we talked about this yesterday. Kim McGilvery wants to know, or is it Kim McGilvery Hash wants to know, do you have to turn on your signal when in a turning lane? And yes, you do. You have to signal if the movement of your vehicle could affect any other vehicle. So technically, by that wording, I would say that if there's no other vehicles on the road, you don't have to signal. However, if you get a ticket, obviously there was somebody that saw it. You need to signal. It's a good habit to be signaling every move. Obviously, it's for safety. Let's see here. Oh, here's an interesting question we've never discussed, at least not in this particular context. Am I allowed to share a vehicle with someone who has an accessible parking permit? You can share a vehicle. You cannot use their accessible parking permit. They should be taking their parking permit with them. That's a lot of but they should be taking their parking permits with them. They're only valid and can only be used. In fact, if you park a vehicle with that permit in the vehicle and they are not present, that vehicle's parking permit or that person's parking permit could be penalized. I'm looking for another P word. No, it could be seized. They could lose their parking permit. So I'm going to stop saying P words. Scrolling. Oh, okay, here's a question. From TikTok, no less. Do cyclists have to dismount when they cross an intersection? No, they don't. If they're riding on the road, they don't. Dismount. They do have to dismount if they're using the crosswalk, because they're not allowed to ride in a crosswalk. Makes a sense. Craig Lehman wants to know, making a left turn on a green light, can I enter the intersection? You can enter the intersection. I call it loading the intersection, and wait until that break to exit the intersection. You can't obviously enter an intersection on a red, but yeah, you can enter it. And if you do not or cannot clear the intersection when it turns red or before it turns red, you could be charged. There are offenses for that, but you're allowed to enter it on the green and wait to make your turn. You don't have to wait behind the line. How long have you been a police officer for? Brady Smith West wants to know. I joined the Toronto Police Service in 2000. I was an auxiliary officer. Very shortly thereafter, I became a court officer simultaneously and did both. And I then in 2012 became a police officer. So was it 11 years ago that I became a police officer? I think so. And so total time with the service, 23 years and counting, but as a police officer proper since 2012. Let's see here what we got. Is it dangerous? Here's the question. Is it dangerous to ride around pedestrians at too big speed difference and G-class drivers are too careless to look or yield if you are in a crosswalk? I don't understand your question. Are you talking about making a turn through a crosswalk when the pedestrians are present? Because that's dangerous. You have to yield to pedestrians. You don't just drive around them. If they've passed you, and you can safely then clear the intersection. But if they're in the intersection, you don't drive through that half of the intersection. I need you to expand, Michael. Need more. Richard says good morning. Good morning. Oh, really? TikTok is broken. Apparently TikTok doesn't allow audio to play in the background. It was a good feature because it allowed the podcasty effect to take place. Do you think that this should be a podcast? We do have a podcast, but would you listen to this pre-recorded, like in reruns, as a podcast? Because I can certainly share this as a podcast. Interesting. Maybe I should do that. We have it as a podcast. It is a podcast available if you watch or listen to it through YouTube podcasts. It automatically goes there, or it should automatically go there. If it doesn't, I will add those. But I could also put this out on all the other platforms. Maybe I should. Okay, Asim wants to know. What do you want to know? Why should I be charged if I can't make it through an intersection because of traffic from the opposite direction? You must be able to clear the intersection. It's your responsibility to clear the intersection, and you shouldn't enter the intersection if you cannot clear it. In other words, if you're traveling straight through and there is nowhere to go, you don't enter the intersection unless there's a space on the other side for you, because when the light changes, you're responsible for creating that traffic congestion. Turning left is a little different. If you turn left, it would make sense that there's somewhere to go. If there is nowhere for you to go, you may get that ticket of failing to clear a signalized intersection. Or for, there's another charge that doesn't come to mind right now. However, you are gambling if you enter the intersection, assuming that there's somewhere for you to go. And very often why people do it is because there's traffic turning from the side street and they want to make sure they get their spot. However, don't do it. Don't do it unless you're confident. If it's heavy traffic, know that you may get a ticket. And also aggravate everybody within a square mile because it's not how to play well together. Okay. I see. So it was about riding in a crosswalk. Okay. So Michael's comment was about riding through a crosswalk. So revisiting that with that context, is it dangerous to ride around pedestrians at too big speed? But I don't understand the riding through. You can't ride through a crosswalk. So I still don't understand it, despite your explaining more. Hey, have you been to trafficcop.ca? Has anyone, if you use the magical link tree, on this page, I have not only links so that you can buy tickets to the Special Olympics draw and increase your odds exponentially of winning a Harley-Davidson motorcycle. I say increase your odds exponentially because you cannot win if you don't buy a ticket. But if you do buy a ticket, you might win a very nice Harley. You can, of course, get to all of our social media through here. You can also get all my personal social media here. I keep saying this. I have to add other places that I appear. But that's a fun episode that I was on for totally useless information. Traffic services, you can find our socials specific to that. Toronto Police links, there's lots of them. And then the useful. I got to change this pedestrian cyclist down to useful links because it is useful. Renew your license plate, driver's license check, riding an e-bike, e-kick scooter information, electric. It's e-kick scooter information. Checking vehicles before you buy them, make sure they're not stolen. And if you are a new resident or visiting Canada, knowing what the laws are, this is important stuff. And it's there for you. So driver's license check. People say, well, what do I need a driver's license check page for? You're going to loan your friend a vehicle? Wouldn't it be good if they had a driver's license? Wouldn't it be good if you knew for certain that license was valid? Because if it's not valid, if they say, yeah, I got a license, but it's not actually a valid license, well, you get a ticket for enabling them to drive whilst unlicensed. Not cool. Not cool for you. The ticket doesn't hurt me, but it would likely suck to get. Okay. Driving on the wrong side of the road. Something that I, got 2.5 weeks of experience watching. I didn't actually drive this time. I didn't rent a car. But I did go and as a passenger, sit in cars. And at one point, I took a taxi to the cruise port, and I was in the front left position, which is the passenger side there. It was very weird. I've driven in Australia, and that was cool. But it was weird sitting there on the left. It was very much what I imagined it would feel like to be in an autonomous vehicle. And I didn't like it. Would you would you be in an autonomous vehicle without the ability to take over? I like driving. So this is a very interesting thing. Do you want autonomous vehicles? Would you buy one? Would you use one? Would you take a taxi that was being driven by a computer, essentially? Let me know. Logan Grant says he's being lonely in the mornings without my sultry voice, but he loved living vicariously through the videos while overseas. I had a great time, and I was still, I don't know if anyone was paying attention, but I was still answering questions and chatting, and I even created a couple of videos to share my experiences whilst in Ireland and Scotland and the sea in between. Because I was having fun, and there was downtime, and I was relaxing, and I find it somewhat relaxing to talk about traffic. Okay, let's see what this is. We got some questions that have popped up. Hosts, here's the question. Growing up, I was taught bikes have to travel in single file. Has that changed? I see parallel a lot now. Bikes, do you mean bicycles or do you mean motorcycles? So, can you ride two up? Technically speaking, a bicycle is entitled to the entire width of the road if they can maintain the speed of traffic. If they cannot, they need to pull over and stay in the rightmost portion of the lane, unless the lane is got schmutz in it. If it's got something that makes it dangerous, whether it be gravel or dirt or something that makes it unsafe, then they can take over the entire lane again, even if they can't keep up traffic for the purpose of getting past that obstruction or danger. Now, in terms of them riding side by side, I see it when it comes to packs of race bikes that are doing it, and they are generally really cooking. I see them cooking all the way through stop signs, mind you, but they are going quite quickly. And I would imagine they're entitled to the entire lane at that point. I'm speculating to some degree because I've never really dealt with it. Now, do we want you riding single file? It's certainly better, but it's not realistic. And the cycling advocates will tell you that if they want to punish everybody, they will drive single file because they would have so many of them that they could plug up and create congestion. I don't know. I'd rather see people single file and stopping for all stop signs. But I'm a traffic guy who wants to see people actually follow the law. But I don't think there's anything that states they cannot be two up. I don't think so, but I don't know so I'll have to double check. Is there a specific angle a plate must be A bike plate must be. It must be. It must be straight. It can't be on an angle. It must be. Well, it is an angle, 90 degrees to the ground. It must be visible, plainly visible. And when they're tucked up under the rear of a license plate, that is illegal. That is obscured, obstructed, or otherwise not visible. It must be legible, and anything other than square to the ground. The regulation, if I actually pull up the actual regulation, which I'm not going to do right now just because it's nested, it's not as easy to find from where I am without, I probably could have found it by now. Anyway, yeah, there's regulations. It has to be horizontal. It cannot be on its side or any angle. It cannot be rotated. Certainly cannot be flipped in any direction. And it's a $110 charge at minimum. It depends if you have other things going to change the angle while you're riding. There's people who have flip-up plates. That's a whole different ball of wax. If I buy a car, can I drive it around? What's this question? To do the license plate process? No. You must have a license plate on the vehicle. It must be insured. You can't drive plateless. Now, if you have license plates from your previous vehicle they're unattached, which means they're valid, but you haven't. They were still registered for you've taken them off the previous vehicle. They have an unattached status. You could, if the vehicle is insured, put those on for up to 6 days until you've transferred those plates to that vehicle permanently. But you cannot just drive plateless. My suggestion when buying a vehicle, aside from going to trafficcop.ca to make sure that that vehicle is not stolen prior to completing your deal, is complete your deal at the ministry. Go to the Service Ontario location and just transfer it right then and there. Do I think that diagonal crosswalks for pedestrians will ever arrive to Ontario, or are they good? Diagonal? I don't know if I've ever seen a diagonal crosswalk. And now I want to type something in. Diagonal crosswalk. Let me see what this looks like. Oh, you're talking about the full intersection. Oh, I've never heard of those being called diagonal. That is where you can cross anywhere. We have those here. If you look at Dundas Square, it's I forgot what they call it. Dundas Square cross. What is the term for it? Scramble intersection. So we do have them. I don't particularly like them. I think that intersection is very slow as a result of it, but hey. I see Ryan Pin just popped into the conversation. Looking forward to seeing what he's written. Let's see here. Just so you know, you're broadcasting on the internet right now. Your voices are coming through loud and clear. People on the other side of the wall that they may or may not realize that they're talking to you. Let's see here. Legal to drive without shoes. It is legal in Ontario. May not be legal everywhere. However, it is not a good idea. Flip-flops are even worse idea, but driving without shoes has two problems. One, you are going to be pressing down on pedals that in an emergency situation could be painful. Could cause you to push and then slip or hurt your toesies. But after a collision, when you're driving or you're going to try and walk around on broken glass and chemicals that might be hot, just bad. It's a bad idea. Listen to Jason Bourne. Don't drive in anything you can't run in. Let's see here. And of course, this is going to be tongue-in-cheek because that's what he does. Can I write my license plate number on a circular saw blade and put it in my dashboard? Well, a lot of people who take their front license plates and put it in their front dashboard, which is I call the Ontario Shuriken, but it's unsafe. It's illegal and it's unsafe. Writing it is just totally illegal, but just taking your license plate and putting it on the front dash, not okay. Have you personally issued a ticket to cyclists? Yes, I have. I've written many tickets to cyclists for red lights and careless driving and stop sign offenses because they're not following the law. So that is absolutely a ticket that I will write. I don't write any tickets right now because I haven't been on the road for quite some time since my motorcycle collision. But it is a ticket that they're motorcyclists, cars, and cyclists are all vehicles, and they're all responsible for rules of the road, and they must follow them, despite the fact that many people will argue that cyclists shouldn't have to. but they do have to. So yes, I have, and I will. If I go back on the road, I will continue to write tickets to all those who break laws. Let's see here. What is 3 stars next to license class on a driver's abstract? Probably just filling out the blanks. Those are asterisks, I imagine, and I believe it's because there's 4 digits, and they want to ensure that all 4 digits are occupied, no blank spaces. So I think they filled the extra space up. Yes. Testy wants to know, if somebody is repeatedly brake checking me, should I call police for reckless driving? Well, you could create some space and let them leave, and if they were to continuously, follow you or stay in your front and not let you get away, that's not just reckless driving. That's possibly criminal or stunt. There's a whole bunch of different potentials. If you cannot stop it by creating space and slowing down or making a turn, that's a problem. And they could be targeting you, and there could be other things afoot. So calling the police and explaining the situation could be reasonable. If they brake check you, but you slow down and get off their rear end and they leave, well, you've solved the problem. They're still wrong for doing it, but you're now no longer in harm's way. And instead of 911, you can contact the police by way of an online submission form, which would allow you to report them. You can report a specific vehicle there. The biggest difference is you have to understand calling the police, especially when you're calling 911, is for calling an emergency in. Emergency. If you can stop it from being a concern on your own, it ceases to be an emergency. Start with that. How long do tickets stay on your record? Tickets that are on your record, convictions, stay for 3 years from the date of conviction. That's how long it stays in your current record. Long term, we see it forever. And there are other agencies who can see it forever. When it comes to insurance companies and things like that, your current record, it's 3 years. When it comes to your points, demerit points, points expire 2 years after the date of the offense. So there's that. Can you get fined for having a muffler delete? Yes, because it's illegal. Muffler delete, where you have no muffler. Mufflers are a required piece of equipment. So if you take it off, we can charge you for having no muffler. It's actually a charge, like drive no muffler. There are other charges in relation to your exhaust system, and you could be also getting charges for unnecessary noise under the Highway Traffic Act. So at least 2 charges for a muffler delete, one for the unnecessary noise, one for the lack of muffler. That's going to be $220 combined for the 2 tickets. And there's more. There could be more that comes with it. Just depends on how many violations we find. What is this? If your driver's license is medically suspended, is your boat license suspended as well? I don't know. I think someone asked me this once. I still don't know. I would assume that that your medical suspension might carry over, and certainly if you're not supposed to be driving your car, you shouldn't be driving a boat for safety. So whether it is or it isn't, you should be responsible or not, because I'll tell you, when the lawsuit comes in and they find out that you were doing it despite, even if it was legal, if they find out that you were doing it, good luck. Everything you've ever owned and more will be taken by the person that you hurt or their family. I don't have a definitive answer, but I'm going to assume that it is going to be suspended, and if it's not suspended, it probably should be suspended. Okay, and the status of the driver's abstract says unrenewable. I don't know what that means. Unrenewable? Maybe it means that you need to. So it's is this a follow-up of? Hang on a second. Maraf wants to know, where's the other half of this question? What are the 3 stars next to the driver's abstract, and what does it say? I don't know what the unrenewable is. Sorry, my friend, I've never actually seen that. Maybe it means you need a test and you can't renew. What's that? What's the license status? Like what type of license do you have? Let me scroll back. Did it say it earlier? Yeah, let me know what the class of license you have. And this is speculating. I don't actually know the answer. Okay. Scrolling down. Oh, I see. Cool. Michael says the asterisk on an abstract class has 4 characters. See, my guess was correct. He has AB and could upgrade to an ABM1 or ABM2 to fill all 4 spaces. See, there we go. Ryan Pin taught a remedial course this week and had a student ask about stunt. I mentioned the person in the trunk was included. He asked alive or dead. I said both, but the latter has more paperwork. And that is actually a very accurate answer. Hey, if anybody's watching and doesn't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff Monday to Friday from 10 to 11 on Ask a Traffic Cop, which is the show you're watching right now, possibly out of sync for some reason, even though I don't know why. We'll put in a request to find out, because these are things we want to know. Here's a good question. Does Canada allow my tint exemption letter from my doctor? No. Well, I shouldn't say no. Ontario does not have a tint exemption. I don't know about the other provinces. However, I assume no, because unsafe is unsafe. You can get sunglasses. You can get all sorts of wonderful stuff that would allow you to deal with tint, or at least protecting your eyes and skin, but you can't do it beyond legal limits on your windows. And then the question of how much is an illegal tint ticket? That depends. How illegal are we talking about? If it's just a matter of me not being able to see inside and identify the driver, well, that is going to be $110 for obscuring the interior of your motor vehicle. If your vehicle's tint is such that the officer believes that your view is obstructed or obscured, well, that could be another $110 ticket for that. If it is so dark that it is deemed unsafe, that would be a drive unsafe motor vehicle that has no set fine but has a range. What is the range for that unsafe? Let's look that up. But in the meantime, I'll tell you that it also means you lose your license plates, and you'd have to get a safety in order to apply for new ones. Operate unsafe motor vehicle is the charge. It is no set fine, 84 sub 1. Let me see what the range is as it loads. I think it said 84 sub 1. $2,000 to $50,000? That might be for commercial. Penalty. That's for a wheel becoming detached. Too much reading required to give you an accurate number. It could be a lot. Regional TO says, is it Regional TO or Regional TO? Anyway, hello, I'm late. Welcome to the party. Ian Brown is riding a bicycle on a sidewalk. Illegal. I don't know who Ian Brown is, but if you are riding a bicycle on the sidewalk in Toronto, it is illegal. You cannot ride. It is a bylaw offense, but you can't be on a sidewalk unless you are under the age of 14. Thus, you must be 13 or younger, and then you can. I don't know how old Ian Brown is because I don't know who Ian Brown is. Okay. Casey Coulter. Do you know about ICBC laws? I do not. I'm assuming the BC is, no, I don't know. Because I think you're talking about, what is it? ICBC Home. Is this British Columbia Insurance? Auto insurance. Yeah, I don't know what their rules are. I do not know. Regional TO says, also I was walking home when I saw a car with mirrored side windows but a regular windshield. Do you know if that's legal? In Ontario, mirrored tint is not legal because it prevents you from seeing inside the vehicle. It is not legal. Cannot prevent the people from seeing into your vehicle. I need to be able to see if you're wearing your seatbelt. I need to be able to see if you're using your cell phone. I need to be able to describe you, so that means I need to be able to see you. And that goes for other people. You know, eye contact, important, nonverbal communication. Why does anyone think they need hazard lights for street parking? I have no problem with parking without lights on in broad daylight. I don't know. I don't know the context of this conversation, where it's coming from, but it is it is a curious thing. Maybe they're parking. You shouldn't be parking where you're not supposed to be parking. I think a lot of people think hazard lights make people believe that it's safe to park there even if it's not legal. Like they want to go and grab a coffee. We'll put the hazards on. Tells people we're going to be quick. Still eligible for a ticket, does nothing. I don't get it. Do you always get a ticket for tints or do they make you remove them? When you commit the offense, you get the ticket. If I catch you, I would issue the ticket. I don't give you the option of take them off or promise you're going to take them off. You have them on, you broke the rules, you get a ticket. You can go to court and say, but I took them off, and they can choose to withdraw it if they want to, but that's not me. I'm going to issue the ticket when I see you with the tint. There have been situations where a vehicle has illegal tint and they're given the option to remove them at roadside. I've seen videos of people removing them roadside. I've not had people remove them roadside. Let's see here. This question was actually, this is from Scott now, but it was originally by somebody else who asked at the beginning of the show. Do I have to let the ministry know that I changed the color of my vehicle? The answer is yes. You have 6 days from the time you change the color of the vehicle in order to change it within that 6 days. Otherwise, you can charge $110 for failing to update the ministry, which is the Service Ontario. It's a quick and free update of information. George Hanna. What is this? Let's see what you want to know. If I'm excluded off of my vehicle of residence, can I drive other vehicles? So you're a licensed driver, and you're not allowed to use any of the vehicles of people who own them that live at your house. I'm assuming that's how I'm interpreting it. So if everyone who's at your house has a policy that says don't let George drive, can somebody else let George drive? As long as you're a licensed driver and those people don't have specific instructions not to let you drive the vehicle from their insurance, then you would be legal. I'm sure there's more to this conversation, George, so I'd need to know more to give you a definitive answer. But yeah, if it's just a policy because you have a bad driving record and they couldn't get insured with you living there unless they made a declaration that they wouldn't let you do it, that sounds like other people could, but you probably don't. If they're friends of yours, they probably don't want you driving their car. Further to that, they should probably ensure that you are properly licensed by going to trafficcop.ca and using the link there to verify your license. Just saying. What is the question? Is it legal to... Very true. Ryan Pinn says, hazard lights mean I know I'm parked illegally. You're just going to have to deal with it. Well, unless it's a police officer or parking enforcement officer who deal with it by way of issuing you a ticket. Is it illegal to have a tint or obstruction on the back passenger windows? The back passenger windows, as well as the rear window, can be as dark as you like. There's no regulation dealing with them. They can be painted solid black with a paintbrush and oil paints. It doesn't matter. As long as you have clear view to the rear by way of mirror or other means, like now you have updated cars with cameras in place of mirrors, but I think the wording still says mirror. I got a parking ticket from a bylaw officer. Does it affect renewing my license? If you don't pay it, it may very well prevent you from renewing your license plate, but not necessarily your driver's license, because it's issued against the car, not you. Do you deal with emissions equipment removed from vehicles, particularly diesel? Yes, we do. I don't, but yeah, you can't take out emissions equipment. It actually, diesel or otherwise, if you start getting into stuff before the exhaust system, where you are releasing chemicals and it deals with the emission. What's it called? The Environmental Protection Act, which is still alive and well here, despite in the United States it may not be as strict now. They may have had some changes to their laws. Here it is serious and expensive. What if you buy a vehicle with dark tints and while taking it home you are pulled over? Any grace? You're responsible as the driver for the vehicle as it stands when you drive it. It can be owned by somebody else and you drive it. You as the driver get the ticket. You're still responsible. Okay. if I'm driving a customer's vehicle on a service plate, am I allowed to show the customer's vehicle insurance slip when pulled over? Isn't that technically an insured vehicle? I believe that when you're driving with your plate, your insurance is what is going to be covering, because you don't even have to have a vehicle with a service plate. I don't believe that the vehicle has to even be safetied for the road, because a service plate is for mechanics generally to test, even though it's for other purposes as well. But I don't think it's the customer's insurance policy that would be covering it at that point. But I don't know for certain, so I would check with your insurance for the plate. I think you need to have policy on the plate, but I'm not entirely sure. These are good questions, Chase. Do you know it's the anniversary of D-Day landings? Yes, I do, and I did, and I had totally planned on talking about it, but thank you for reminding me, because you know what? I was just in Normandy. That was the last stop. I took a train from Le Havre to Paris, but D-Day, that's where it happened, right? It was Normandy. And I would have loved to have seen some of the tours, but we chose to go to Paris instead, and I now regret it, not seeing the landing area and everything firsthand. But I was physically almost there. Yeah. Go for those who don't know what D-Day is, and I hope everyone does. Go and do some Googling. Go watch a YouTube video. Go remember about the people that fought and lost their lives and sacrificed. When I was in, I think it was in Ireland, I saw what is it? Let me see if I can find this, because I found it particularly interesting, despite the fact that I don't remember the details without being able to reference and look. I'm going to scroll back into my photos, because I took a picture of the placard, and I thought it was incredibly interesting because it was a Canadian reference to stuff and things. Stand by. Many things I do not make you wait, but this is worthy of review. Pictures of family. This was London. Okay, hang on. That means I passed it. Twice. It keeps, oh no. So I went to a D-Day museum, although that's not the plaque that I'm referring to. Looked at some motorcycles, looked at some torpedoes. And I'm really just dancing so I can find this. Here we go. I found it. Flight Lieutenant John. So on the 6th of June, 1944, D-Day, Allied forces landed on the beaches of Normandy. Operation Neptune marked the beginning of the end of the Second World War. Almost 7,000 assorted vessels carried the invasion force, crossing the English Channel largely undetected as German raiders had been put out of action by Allied bombing, jamming, and decoys. In Guernsey, which is one of the ports I visited, the Freya radar at Fort George covered an area to the west of the Normandy beaches and was of particular importance. It was attacked by 439 Squadron RCAF on the 3rd of June with 75% success. Bad weather prevented a further sortie of on the 4th of June. At 8:30 a.m. on the 5th of June, Canadian pilot fighter Lieutenant John Walton Seville led another successful attack on the radar installation. On a second run at the radar, his Typhoon 1B aircraft was hit by anti-aircraft fire and crashed into Havlet Bay. The Lieutenant John Seville was the first member of the 439 Squadron to be lost as a result of enemy action. And it goes on. Really fascinating stuff. And it just clued into the fact that I took that photo. It was interesting. And I hope you thought it was too. I meant in terms of traffic policing. I see. So, back to Chase and the question about the insurance slips. I meant in terms of traffic policing. If I was on a service plate and showed the customer's pink slip, would you demand to see a garage policy, or does it satisfy the police needs? I would likely take the slip. In fact, the law generally says show a slip, and any slip would do. Although further investigation might take place. Michael says, I would go to the sites over anything else in France, then Belgium, then Netherlands war sites. I went to a bunch of things that were war-related, but I was not the only person who needed to be entertained, and I am interested in many things that my children are not. And the Eiffel Tower was high on the list, and the merry-go-round in front of it. Rob wants to know, if I'm driving someone else's vehicle and it doesn't have insurance, would mine cover me? No. The vehicle must be insured. If it's an uninsured vehicle, the person who let you drive it is going to be in big trouble because they're going to be charged for permitting a vehicle without insurance to be driven. Unless you create a binder, unless you call your insurance company and have them cover that vehicle, your insurance would not cover it. Ryan Pinn correcting my pronunciation of lieutenant to lieutenant. Really? Even though it's spelled lieutenant? Oh my goodness, you can tell I'm not a military man. Okay. The video just synced. Better late than never. My dad was in the Royal Navy on destroyers in World War II. Very cool. So the video just synced is in the finally now the audio and video are matching. That's not horribly annoying for an hour of yapping. What is the fine when you drive alone in the HOV lane? I think it's 150, but I don't know for sure. It could be 110. Irrelevant. You shouldn't be doing it. Is taillight tint legal if it's not too dark? Oh, depends on who you talk to. The answer is that it must be visible and discernible at 150 meters. I think that's correct. 150, not 160. Regardless, if you are tinting your taillights and you're involved in a collision where you were rear-ended and police are investigating, guess what we write down? That you typed, or that you tinted your taillights, and you may have contributed to the actions that led to a collision. It's generally a bad idea. Don't do it. It looks cool, but don't do it. I've had other people say, well, if you tinted, then just increase the brightness of the taillights you put in. Could it possibly suffice? Possibly. Would we still write down that it was tinted? Yes. Is it something you don't want to deal with? I would avoid it. Okay. Let's see here. Kayla says he's got to go and don't have a good day, have a great day. I appreciate it. It's Chase's mom's birthday, and he'd like to get her a gift and wants to have some birthday gift ideas. If anyone has mom birthday gift ideas, shout out, because we need to help Chase out. Leo 10 has a question. If I drive with low speed because I'm a new driver, will I be issued a ticket? If you drive so slowly that you are a risk, that you are causing issues in traffic, it's unnecessary slow driving, and yeah, you can be issued a ticket. If you should be able to keep up with the flow of traffic, not exceed the speed limit, but you should be able to keep up with the flow of traffic. Let's see here. Ryan Pinn is a lieutenant right now, or lieutenant? How could you spell lieutenant, 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 lieutenant? Okay, we're going to talk later, Ryan. Or lieutenant. Okay. And the sink is drifting again. Tips for birthday gifts from regional TO: a gift card to a store she likes or snacks she likes. I like that. Can taxis drive in the HOV without a passenger? Yes, taxis and limos can, but not group share, ride share stuff. That's different. Okay. Do you need to insure a trailer? No. Trailers are generally covered by the vehicle towing it, their insurance. There are certain times where you'd want to insure it because of loss or damage separately. That's a whole different thing. But the vehicle, for the purposes of towing, is it legal to tow an uninsured trailer? Yes, you don't need insurance on a trailer. What is this? Michael says, and this is the last thing because we got to go. I saw a 53 Division unit do a spontaneous traffic stop right after a light turned green. I think first car in my lane proceeded before green, rolling into the intersection. Be careful, traffic mates. Interesting. I don't know anything about that, but there's all sorts of things. They may have just been waiting for an opportunity to pull them over. Don't know. But I do know that we are done for today, but we'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So if you are around and you want to hang out, we'll do this again. And if you've got questions that pop into your head the moment we go offline, well, tomorrow's the time. We'll be back then. But in the meantime, drive safe, drive sober, park legally, and enjoy the traffic song. Because it's a great song. And I don't have any other songs.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed. And watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get freed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
Always fun. I have just been entertained by a troll in the chat on TikTok who's saying stuff and other things that are interesting. But yeah, moving along. See you tomorrow. And if you don't know who I am, and I know it's late in the game, but my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a traffic cop. They call it the TikTok traffic cop. I say they. It's really Jerry Agar who started that whole thing. In any case, I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.